Hello, this is Mr. Turek, and I'm going to show you how to make a contact sheet in Photoshop and Lightroom. Contact sheets are really important because they allow me to see all the images you took on one sheet and printed really small so that you're not wasting paper or you're not wasting space. And they're usually how photographers select the images they're going to print larger. So you need to make sure that you've copied your files to your computer and you have them in a folder. So I have these photos of flowers in a folder, and I know where this folder is on my computer. If you're using Lightroom, you can obviously import them from your phone and have Lightroom copy them to your local drive. But for now, just make sure you have a folder with images you want to make your contact sheet with, and then open Photoshop. And again, opening Photoshop, you go to the Start menu and click on Photoshop. Or you can click on your little shortcut in your taskbar at the bottom. So when Photoshop's open, you're not going to create new. You're going to go to File, Automate, and then you're going to go to the option called Contact Sheet 2. When you click on that option, the contact sheet dialog box is going to pop open. And this is the only thing you're going to do to make your contact sheet. In the Source Images section, you're going to choose the folder where you keep your images for your contact sheet. So I'm going to click Choose, and I'm going to go to making contact sheets, and I'm going to use these contact sheet test files. These are the photos of flowers that I was looking at before. Click OK. So that's the destination folder. That's where it's going to take the photos out of to make the contact sheet. And down here under Document and Thumbnails, you can sort of set up the parameters for what the contact sheet will look like. So we're going to make our contact sheet 8.5 by 11, so it fits on a regular sheet of paper. We're going to make it print resolution at 300 ppi. And we're going to do just the default for the thumbnails, so 5 columns and 6 rows. If you would like your images to be a little bit bigger, you can change this, and I highly recommend you use auto spacing. Unless you want to write notes next to your photos, you should never need to mess with spacing. And then for the file name and caption section, you can change the font and change the font size, but I recommend you keep it real small and just leave the file names what they are so that when you're looking through your files later, they match what's on your contact sheet. Once all this stuff is set up, you're going to click OK. And it's going to take a while. Once your images are done processing, you're going to see this contact sheet. And you probably didn't notice this, but there was a box in the dialog window that just mentioned to flatten all the layers. So if you uncheck that box, all of those images and text boxes will be separate layers. We had that box checked, so they automatically get flattened, and that's your contact sheet. Once you see this window, I had the perfect amount of images to fill this sheet. Maybe you'll have a couple of contact sheet files open, and those will fill in up here under each tab. And you got to make sure you save them all. And for most of our purposes, you're going to want to save them as just JPEGs, because you're just going to hand them in as JPEGs, and I'll look them over in OneNote or on Google Drive. So go to File. Save as. Give your contact sheet your last name and first name. Turek, Joe James, contact sheet 1. And you might want to mention what set of photos it is. So contact sheet flowers. This is a bunch of flowers. And again, make sure change it to JPEG. And we're just going to save it where my other contact sheet test files are. And click Save. And the JPEG option box pops up, click OK. And there you go. That's how you make a contact sheet in Photoshop. All right, next I'm going to show you how to make a contact sheet in Lightroom. And Lightroom is a little bit more flexible with how you can sort of look at the contact sheet before you print it. So you might actually prefer using Lightroom to Photoshop. Again, make sure you know where your images are, whether they're plugged into your computer as a card or they're in a folder somewhere. Just know where that folder is located on your computer. And then open Lightroom. So go down to the Start menu. Scroll down to Adobe Lightroom Classic, Creative Cloud, or click on it on your taskbar. And when Lightroom opens up, you're going to do an import. And to do an import, you're going to go File, Import Photos and Video. When you click that, this box is going to open up. And if you have the location of your folder kind of memorized, you're going to click through these folders over here. For me, it's going to be under Users, Joe Turek, Desktop. So I'm finding my way to the folder I need to import. I know exactly where it is. So I'm going to go in there. There, found it. So I found my folder. And I'm going to import these photos. So by default, they're usually all checked. And that's pretty much all you need. If there's certain photos you don't want to import, uncheck them. But usually you check all and you import all of them, and then you make those decisions after looking at your contact sheet. So check all your photos, and then click Import. Depending on how many photos you've imported, it might take a while. Your photos will pop up here, and they'll pop up in this film strip at the bottom. You'll be in your library, which is where you tag, organize, and can do some basic adjustments to your photos. But we're going to go to Print. So click on the Print tab. Under the Print tab, by default, the top option is Single Image / Contact Sheet. And that's what you want. So you're going to adjust how many rows and columns are in your contact sheet and how big your images are. So kind of scroll down, and you're going to see all those options down here in the layout. So we're going to turn up the number of rows, and you're going to see the number of rows increase. We're going to turn up the columns, and it's just automatically going to fill all the images we want into our contact sheet. But right now we only have one image selected. So make sure you go down to your film strip and you select all your images. You can do this two ways. You can click on the first image, scroll all the way to the side, hold down the Shift key, and click on the last image to include all of those images in your contact sheet. Or you can simply Control All, and that should select all of them. Once all those images are selected, you can sort of see how your contact sheet would look. You can use the arrow keys to go through your images, and you can adjust everything in the page grid to your liking. So I'm actually going to make it so that all of these images fit on one sheet. There we go. I can change the cell size and the cell spacing here. As you scroll down, there's a lot of other options. You can include the photo info. And when you're all done, go to Print to JPEG file. Because all we're going to do is save these as JPEGs and look at them online. We're not actually going to print them. You want to make sure, though, that your file dimension is set to 8.5 by 11 in case you do want to print them. You want to keep the JPEG quality high and the file resolution at 300 pixels per inch. So once all these settings are achieved, I'm going to click Print to File. Okay, well, it's going to give you the same option Photoshop gave you, which is to save this as a JPEG. So find the folder you want to save it in. I'm going to save it in the contact sheet folder. I'm going to give it a name, last name, first name, contact sheet, flowers, Lightroom. And then I'm going to click Save, and instead of actually printing the file, it's just going to export it as a JPEG. And that's how you make a contact sheet in Lightroom.